Have you ever just looked around at the world and felt like something is off? Like the basic rules about who we are, man, woman, family, are all up for grabs. Well, I'm here to tell you that confusion isn't an accident, it's a strategy. There is an intentional war being waged against a fundamental design.
See, the world is absolutely confused, but it is not random. There's a strategy at play. And to understand what's happening right now, you have to realize this isn't just some new, modern thing. It's an ancient plan, a deliberate strategy designed to tear down a very specific blueprint. And understanding that strategy, well, that's the key to everything.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the original blueprint. Then, the war on design that's been raging against it. We'll unpack the strategy of chaos, see what a world without the blueprint looks like, and finally, talk about the call to rebuild.
All right, first things first. Before you can understand any war, you have to know what's being attacked. So let's start with the target, the original blueprint. We have to get a handle on this idea of a divine design.
So what exactly is the blueprint? It's actually pretty simple. At its very core, it's the foundational idea that humanity was created, male and female, on purpose, by divine design. And these aren't just, interchangeable labels. They are distinct, they are complementary, and they were established for a reason, to create order. And let's be crystal clear about this. The blueprint itself isn't fuzzy or vague. It's rooted in the fact that God is not confused. He made them male and female. He did it on purpose. The goal was never androgyny. The goal was a marriage, a powerful union of two different but perfectly complementary halves.
Okay, so now that we've established the blueprint, we can get into the conflict itself. And you need to understand, this isn't some new culture war that started a few years ago. No way. This is an ancient war on that very design, and it started right at the beginning.
So how did the first attack go down? Well, it reveals the whole strategy. It wasn't a head-on assault on humanity, but on order. Satan completely bypassed the man, Adam, and went straight to the woman, Eve. And Adam's silence in that moment, that was the critical failure. It was a deliberate role reversal that completely flipped the divine design on its head. And the fallout was immediate, a fractured home, blurred roles, and a curse falling squarely on manhood itself.
Now, you'd think that after thousands of years, the enemy's strategy would have, evolved a little. But it hasn't, not one bit. The playbook used to unleash chaos is ancient, and it stays the same for one simple reason. It works. It's devastatingly effective.
So here's the playbook. It's a clear four-step process. Step 1, attack the man. Step 2, confuse the woman. Step 3, divide the home. And Step 4, if you can't completely destroy the family, you deform it, you twist it into a shadow of its original design.
Let's just put these two side by side for a second. The contrast is stark. The blueprint is all about the beautiful distinction between male and female, assigned roles, and divine order. The strategy of chaos, the modern lie, pushes for sameness, fluid roles, and what does that lead to? Demonic chaos. It's trading God-given equality in our differences for a destructive lie of total sameness.
Let's drill down on step 1. The whole strategy really hangs on this one principle. Break the man, and you break the home. The goal is to neutralize him, the father, the protector. And this is done by shoving him into one of two ditches. Either make him passive, distracted and silent, just like Adam in the garden, or, on the other extreme, make him a dominant, destructive tyrant. Either way, he's off the board. His role is gone.
Step 2 is just as devastating. Confuse the woman. Because if you can twist what it means to be a woman, you've already won the war for the next generation. The strategy mocks motherhood. It tells women that submission is weakness. It screams, be the man. It creates this total exhaustion that pretends to be empowerment, and in the process, it rips out the very heart of the family.
So what happens when an entire society just throws out the blueprint? What does it actually look like when this strategy plays out on a massive scale? Well, you don't have to look very far. The consequences are all around us. The fallout is literally everywhere. We see it in fatherless homes just becoming the norm. We see it in schools pushing a completely genderless ideology. We see it in churches that are afraid to lead with clarity. And what's the result? We get aimless young men who have no purpose and anxious young women who are completely overwhelmed.
The end result is simple, and it is brutal. Without the blueprint, there is no covering, there is no protection, there is no clarity. There is only chaos. And that is the enemy's ultimate goal.
Okay, that's the bad news. But here's the good news. Despite all the chaos, despite how effective this attack has been, the original mandate from God has not changed. Not one bit. The call to rebuild, according to the blueprint, is just as urgent today as it has ever been.
Now, to get to the solution, we have to frame the problem correctly. This is so important. This is not a political debate. It's not a culture war that you win on social media. It is a spiritual war. The confusion is demonic. The attack is intentional. And that means the solution has to be spiritual.
And the first part of that solution is getting back to the mandate. Men are still called to lead. Period. Not as tyrants, not as domineering bosses, but as strong, kind, sacrificial leaders in their homes, in their churches, and in their communities. That calling has not been canceled.
And women are still called to build. They are called to be wise and fierce and nurturing builders of the home, the ones who shape the next generation. This isn't a secondary role. It's a role of immense power and dignity, and it's absolutely essential to restoring order.
So how do we rebuild? It's not a mystery. The process has 5 clear actions. First, we have to preach the truth without apology. Second, we have to intentionally build the home as the cornerstone of a healthy society. Third, we have to actively train men for their calling. Fourth, we honor women in theirs. And finally, we guard the gates of our families and churches against the chaos that's trying to get in.
Look, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. This is an urgent 5-alarm wake-up call. We are not just drifting through some weird sociological moment. We are in a real and present war. And it is time for God's people to wake up, rise up, and act like it.
In the end, the solution is to simply let the clarity of the original design speak again. We have to let the beautiful, powerful, undeniable truth of men being men and women being women drown out the noise of confusion for good. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. In an age where confusion is a weapon and our very identities are under attack, is it possible that the only real, lasting answer is a bold, courageous, and unapologetic return to the original design?